is Sports Drive.
Welcome back into Sports Drive. Once again, I'm your host, Preston Moore. I mentioned we talk a little bit of Dumas football. We had a late cancellation from our Dumas source we were going to talk to. That being said, Mike's still around, and we'll talk to TPSN's Mike Roden a little bit about that Dumas game last night, picking up a win at Dumas, 27-7 over Austin. This is an important win for Dumas, you know. I mean, starting off pre-district schedule, you know, with a 42-0 loss against Lubbock Cooper, then 49-16 loss against Estacado, then you beat Perryton, but then you lose back-to-back again to Plainview and Bushland. A 1-4 start is not what we expect from the Dumas Demons. Winning last night, especially the week before you go into district, can mean a lot.
It definitely can. They needed some momentum and got it with that win. So that obviously is what Coach Dunham was looking for in that. And you know that Dumas, we're just not. They're kind of like Tascosa and some of the other teams that are not used to being in that position of having dropped some games. Now on the other side of that coin, Dumas, I mean, you just ran down the schedule. Those are some darn good teams that they have played.
Absolutely.
And so no disgrace in losing to any of them, and especially if you've got a young team, that I think is going to benefit them in district play, especially with as wide open as that crazy district is. I mean, nobody's been able to figure it out so far. Hereford looking great, like world beaters, and then it's kind of, you know, Canyon sort of there as well, but everybody else kind of still trying to find the pieces to put into the puzzle. So, you know, I think Dumas is in that boat along, you know, with Pampa. Pampa's had injury problems, so you know they might, if they get some of those guys back, then they might, you know, be able to be a force in the district. But I look for Dumas to be there. I mean, a couple of years ago, before you know they got dethroned from the district title, it was almost every year the district title ran through Dumas.
Right.
And they were, you know, just very consistent. Well, you know, it sometimes happens where you've got to kind of plug some new guys in there, and it takes some time. And so I think Dumas is one of those teams that nobody's going to want to play in district that has the potential to really take off in district play and maybe, you know, be close to the top again, depending on how, you know, they do against teams like Hereford and Canyon.
Right, and I think a team like Dumas would be easy to overlook if you looked at that pre-district schedule. But that being said, a lot of really strong teams there, and you know, sometimes teams like this, especially Coach Dunham mentioned it, they were having a lot of turnover. They were still trying to find their identity. That's something that he talked about a lot when we had our countdown to kickoff series going, was that they were still trying to figure out their identity as a team. And sometimes that can have a little bit of a learning curve, and maybe now is the time that Dumas is kind of getting on top of things and becoming their full potential that we know that Dumas, or that we really expect from Dumas every year, knowing what kind of program that they are. I think that similar to Tascosa, you don't doubt Coach Dunham over at Dumas, because we know that the Dumas Demons are going to come to play, and we know that they're going to come and they're going to play really tough. That's one thing that Dumas is known for.
I agree. And that, you know, it's tough to play up there with that pitchfork, you know, and the flames coming out.
Oh yeah, that's an environment like none other.
You know, and we'll get to know right off the bat as Randall travels to Dumas to open up district play next week. So that'll be, I think, a really telling game for both of those teams.
Right, and that is something that I think, you know, when it comes to those teams, Randall is kind of off to a start where they've kind of been struggling to find their identity. I don't know if they've been struggling or if they would say that, but I think that from a fan standpoint, from our viewpoint, you know, this is a team that has looked really strong in some games, and then some games like last night against Canadian, not as strong. So we don't really know what to expect from them once district play does start and the games start to matter just a little bit more, you know, when it comes to Randall. I think right now, though, Hereford's probably the favorite to win that district.
I don't know how you could say otherwise. You know, we'll see how they do against West Plains tonight, but they've answered the bell so far every single game, including against Tascosa. And so, even though that wasn't an official, you know, full game,
they'll count it as a win, though.
Well, but they were impressive. I mean, they were winning when the game was stopped, and they looked good in doing that, and have looked good all season long. So. Yeah, I think they're the favorite. You know, like I say, Canyon's going to have a say in it. Every team may have a say in it before we're done, and will. So it's going to be a fun district race. Maybe not for the same reasons as in the past, where the district was so strong from top to bottom. But it'll still be interesting to see how that sorts out. And you know, if Hereford can continue to play like they've been playing, Maybe Canyon's got other ideas. Say, hey, we're the top dog here. Randall can say, hey, we're the defending champions. Wait a minute, you know, we tied last year for the district title. So, yeah, it's just going to be another fun district race.
It's one of those things that I believe, you know, this district is arguably the most unpredictable right now.
That's a good way to say it.
I think that right now, I think right now this is a district that you don't know what's going to come out of it, and I think that's something that we said at the beginning of the season. But now it's in a bit of a different way. You know, before we thought these teams are all at the top of their game. They're going to be all of these teams are going to be coming into district play undefeated, and right now it's looking like maybe only Hereford if they pick up a win against West Plains tonight, which is our game of the week, and we'll talk plenty about that later in the show.
I can't wait for that district race. It's going to be early vote for a pick'em game next week. Randall Dumas.
I think Randall Dumas has to be one of our pick'ems games this week. Alyssa Spangler, if you're watching, we want that. That is a vote for us. We won't say who we would pick, but we will say that we want to vote on it. I think that would be one of the bigger toss-ups next week. And I think that whole district, I wouldn't be surprised if in our pick'ems we have a game from that district every single week from here on out because of just how evenly matched all of these teams seem to be. Mike, thank you so much for joining. Once again, these games are available to stream on tpsnsports.com and News Channel 10 or newschannel10.com. Caprock Amarillo High tonight, West Plains and Hereford tonight as well. Those are video streams. Audio streams only for Tascosa at Amarillo High and Canyon at Andrews, correct?
That's it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Mike, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
All right, you bet.
Absolutely. We'll be right back with more Sports Drive after the break.